Okay, so now that you've watched that LinkedIn Learning video section 3 related to Facebook ads, I'll show you an application that I've had in class. So I had this idea. I was doing research on Kickstarter. Sometimes there's Kickstarter projects that are a bit fraudulent, or they're well-intentioned but they just can't deliver on their promises. So at a startup weekend, a team and I created a website called KickRater, in which users could see ratings of Kickstarter projects. Kickstarter creators could get their projects rated so that they could seem more legitimate. So the value proposition for the potential backers was that they could get a second opinion on the value of a project and also a second opinion on the likelihood of not delivering. So they give the money, but then they don't ever get the product. That does happen. So those were the two value propositions. We created this web page. So a team from one of the Lean Startups class created a Facebook ad to try to understand which of the value propositions was greater. So just as you saw in the video, in order to create a Facebook ad, you have to choose who's going to see it. So this group, they focused on Chicago, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco. Younger people, because Kickstarters tend to be younger, 21 to 45. All genders, also with interest in Kickstarter, startups, and small business. So that created, as you saw in the video, that created a reach of 1.8 million people. That was the targeting. They spent $20. They made it available for 6 days, and they based on clicks. The idea was that they wanted to test the value proposition, so which value proposition was higher. So they made everything the same. This is probably the most famous failed Kickstarter project, the Coolest Cooler. So they put a picture of that there. They made everything the same except they put critical analysis of Kickstarter for the first ad, and then could you have predicted funded yet failed Kickstarter projects. So the first value proposition of a second opinion on how good the project is, and then the second value proposition was second opinion on whether they'll actually be able to deliver. So these two ads trying to measure two different value propositions. Everything else is equal. So they put the ads out, and this is the results that they get. So hopefully you can see this. You can see that there were 52 link clicks. There were a total of 2,097 people that the ad reached, meaning that when you're scrolling through Facebook, maybe you didn't even notice it there, but 2,097 people scrolled by. The group spent $20 doing this. So you can see here, one thing that Facebook does with these graphics, I think they've changed a little bit recently, but they show two results on this kind of the same graph in different colors. This shows how the link clicks went over time. So you can see these 52, they had maybe 8 on the first day, and then 4 on the second day, 3 on the third day, and so forth. And then they also chart the cost per result, meaning this is how much each of those links cost. You can see over here, this is the demographics that we gave. These are the two different ads. And in order to understand which one worked better, we have to look at these numbers here. There's a lot of different numbers here, and I'll show you how to interpret this. You can see that the first ad got 30 clicks and the second ad got 22 for a total of 52. The first ad was seen by 1,073 and the second one by 1,041, and those numbers don't total to 2,097, so apparently a couple people saw both ads. Then you can see that the cost per click was 35 cents for the first ad and 44 cents for the second ad. On average, that's 38 cents. The first ad, they spent $10.41. The second ad, $9.59. The key metric here in understanding which ad performed better is the cost per click, because that number incorporates both the amount spent and the results into one measure. So what you're trying to get is more clicks for less money, so you want the lower number. So ad 1 in this case performed a little bit better than ad 2 because the group spent less per click than the ad 2. Now it also gives this data, these histograms, And again, there's blue and green colors. So because they're comparing really different numbers, so 52 and 2097, if you tried to put those on the same graph, you couldn't probably read it because this number is so much bigger than that. So what they do is they just make this histogram based on percentages. So you had like 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. So of this 52, how many of those clicks were male and this age? So it looks like about 22% of the 52 clicks were men 18 to 24. In contrast, it looks like there's like 21% of the 2,097 people that saw it that are men 18 to 24. When you're looking at these histogram plots, what you really care about is the comparison of blue versus green. So you want the blue to be longer than the green. And in those cases, that means that a higher percentage of that demographic clicked on the ad. So in this case, men 18 to 24 were a little bit more likely than average to click on the ad. Men 25 to 34 are even more likely. This line compared to that line, quite a bit bigger. Men 35 to 44 are a little bit less likely. It's hard to compare these little numbers. Females 25 to 34 are a little bit more likely to click on average. But in contrast, females 18 to 24 are less likely. So that's what we care about here. Who does it perform best with? We can see that it's the males 25 to 34, and maybe males 18 to 24 and females 25 to 34. Now this number here, it's kind of hard to interpret since they're such small numbers. A few other things that you can see from this, the cost per result. You can see that the cost per result is 38 cents for men and 44 cents for women, meaning that you got clicks for a cheaper price for men than for women. You can see that 85% of the clicks came from men versus 15% for women. Those are the important things that you can get from this data, so you can learn a lot about your customers by these Facebook ads.